Welcome back. I'm David Nelson for the Traders Network show, broadcasting worldwide from the New York Stock Exchange for iHeart Radio and Equities.com. We're here for an event being hosted by the United Nations Sustainable Stock Exchanges Initiatives. My next guest is Tammy Medard, who's the CEO of ANZ Bank Laos. Tammy, welcome. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Tammy, you're the CEO of one of the largest banks in the region. But what many of our listeners may not know is that Fortune magazine named you to a list of the most powerful women next generation. That's pretty extraordinary. And if that wasn't enough, you're also a working mom. I've got one simple question. How do you do it?
Easy. I have a wonderful husband who really shares his responsibilities as a parent. And I have, great support around. And to me, it's never been an option being a mom, being a wife, or being a career woman. Really? For me, fulfillment is everything. So a lot of people say, oh, it's having it all. I don't think that that's having it all. For me, it's fulfillment is having it all. And that's just what I'm trying to seek.
It's quite a task. I don't know how you do it, but more power to you. We were talking off camera, and we were talking about how you got involved with the UN and how ANZ Bank got involved with the UN. And you mentioned, the empowerment principles. I think I have that right. It's the UN's Women's Empowerment Principles. Could you talk more about that?
Yeah, the UN WEPs. So there are great, simple 10 principles on what private sector can do to try to promote gender equality. They almost shouldn't be called the Women's Empowerment Principles. They should just be empowerment principles. Because it's about making sure that your staff are trained adequately, women and men. It's about making sure that you are creating an environment in the workplace that is safe and healthy for women and men. So I got involved about a year and a half ago. I was at a UNCDF conference on women SME owners, and I learned about the empowerment principles. And to me, it was a no-brainer as a CEO. That's exactly the type of environment that I'm trying to create at work and for my children and the next generation to come.
Do you find that it's an uplifting series of principles for your organization?
It's great. I mean, what I love is they're so simple, and they just bring it to the forefront of my mind. So, for example, what we're doing at ANZ Bank LAO, we're looking at our procurement processes, and I've decided that that's it. When we go out for tender, I want to try to find women to respond to our tenders as well. So it's a bit of a challenge sometimes, living in a Southeast Asian country, particularly when a lot of our tenders are for IT-based work and try to find women in IT. So what that then triggers is a bit of enthusiasm of, let's get out there, let's start educating girls on IT and the STEM, science, technology, engineering and maths. So I have my IT department is now excited and they want to get out and start tutoring. So what I love about something like the Women's Empowerment Principles and the SDGs is they give private sector leaders a bit of a framework and a bit of an aha moment on what should I be doing, what is important, that's right, sustainability. And they give us some guidelines on how to make it a reality. You
just mentioned that you work in a Southeast Asian country, and I think our viewers would like to know how you got there.
Well, it's funny. I was actually on my second maternity leave, and I got a phone call from someone at our HR department, and he said, why don't you come in? I want to talk to you about Laos. And it basically started that way. CEO roles were always on my radar since I joined ANZ Bank, and it was just surprisingly the right time, despite me being on maternity leave. It was the right country, right opportunity, and I don't regret it. It's a great country to live in.
I want to bring it back home for a second in the conference today and what you got out of it.
Yeah.
This question I've asked everybody that sat in that chair: how does the Sustainable Stock Exchanges Initiative and what their likely activities are over the next couple of years, how will that integrate with your organization and what you're going to do?
I think it's really important for stock exchanges to take part. They have a responsibility just the way that banks do. By setting targets, by creating transparency, by establishing indices that allow businesses to be measured against one another from a sustainable lens, it creates some momentum. It creates a way for companies to be measured against one another, and it creates investors, gives investors an opportunity to decide who they want to invest in and which companies they want to back.
I want to ask a follow-up question to that because I've heard that the sustainable indices mentioned a few times now. Are they getting prevalent? Are investors moving into these indices?
Probably not at the speed that I'd like to see. I know at ANZ Group, we take sustainable business practices very seriously. And globally, I think the environment has changed. Regulators are looking at banks to take more accountability on doing some more due diligence on the customers that they're banking. So I'd like to see there be a little bit more momentum and a little bit more recognition from investors and analysts on, the outperformers in this space, like ANZ Bank, and maybe some of the ones that are slow, because it'll catch up with them. And I think, we're seeing some companies in the media right now, and it means hard dollars, taken off their P&L, and that's an important message.
It is an important message. Yeah. Any last words to the UN and the SSE before you leave today?
Yeah, I think the Sustainable Stock Exchange Initiative is just smart. It's something that represents where we are right now and where we're going as a global economy, and really support the UN SDGs. I think they're a great playbook for private sector leaders like myself.
Tammy, thanks so much. Well said.
Thank you for having me.
That was Tammy Medard, CEO of ANZ Bank Laos. By the way, a quick thank you goes out to 1-800 Public Relations for all the PR and media support. Thanks for joining. I'm David Nelson at the New York Stock Exchange.